Rev up your engine. Okay, maybe you're thinking about getting a cop car. Well, this guy can't complain. He got this 93 race-tuned Crown Vic that used to be at Florida Highway Patrol for nothing. He got it for free. And if you remember, the same guy used to have an Impala police car, so he took the parts off of that, even the front bumper guard, and he added these. He even got the extensions for free. They got a cop car club here. It's cost him nothing so far. And listen to the engine. And that's with 170,000 miles on it. Panther framed vehicles, man, they can just go. And since it was a Florida car, let's look under here. Totally solid frame. And here we go with a little sticker of what it used to do. As you can see, it's still got the holes for the highway patrol. Those are plugged. This plug fell off. Have to get another plug. Let's see if there's anything interesting in the trunk like bodies. These babies have room. This is your safety device. You skate away if you run out of gas. He sprayed it in Impala gray in the top so it doesn't look like a police car and people say he's impersonating a policeman. But let's face it, if you saw this thing coming down at you on the road, you'd think it was a cop coming after you. And he even put underglow on it so you know it's not a police car. But you can only see that at night. The sun's out now. Added the spotlight. An LED, it came from a Ford Taurus cop car. And check it out, they got me. Here I am in the back seat of a cop car. Hey, you can have a lot of fun with one of these things. Hope I can't get out. Hey, you don't want to get out of a police car. Well, you might want to, but they don't want you out. Now, this is a work in progress. Let's face it, the guy got the car for free. He didn't pay anything for it. Got a new alternator, K&N filter. He's gonna clean up the wire and everything. But these V8 engines, these old things, man, they can just run forever. You can hear that thing still sounds phenomenal. Is it clacking? No. That fine little pop you hit is because he's got a little leak on the header plugs. You've got to fix that. But this is one solid vehicle. You get one of these things, they can run a long time. You can pull stuff with them. Look, it doesn't even burn oil. Color's still clean after 3,000 miles of driving. These were really solid built engines. But of course, if you're thinking about buying a used cop car, you gotta know a guy like me to check it out. Now this guy knows cars, so he doesn't have to worry about it. But they generally beat the heck out of them. This one didn't really have the heck beat out of it. It's got such a nice sound, so let's take it for a spin. This baby actually has working AC. Whoa. And it's got a PA mic, so you wanna yell at people. Hey, you, what are you doing? Top computer, though, you see it's on like songs. Now, this thing still handles good. People actually took care of it. Over time, obviously, other people have worked on it, fiddled around. The guy that gave it to him didn't have any time to soup it up anymore, so he just gave it to him. There's clubs of people that own these things. You can have a lot of fun with them because look at all the stuff you got free. You got the car free, you got the bumpers free. You can get an awful lot of stuff for these cheap and have fun and still have a really reliable vehicle. Just be forewarned, they're going up in price. People are starting to collect these things. Let's see what this thing can do. Oh man, what a sound. And sure, it's gonna jerk a little. It's an old car. It's pushing 200,000 miles. One solid engine. Listen, what do you hear? Nothing but the engine. The bearings are good, the rear end's good. Boy, you got a great free cop car. There's no arguing with that. Man, they're like boats made for cruising. Well, they're not cruising on the ocean, they're cruising on a highway. And realize, he got this thing, originally it was from Florida. Guess what? No rust, right? You're looking at northern versions of these. Like I checked the frame, check it. If it's rusted, walk away. You don't want one with a rotten frame. You don't want to do a frame off restoration. That's a giant pain in the butt. But since cops use these things all over the place, find a Western or a Southern car, and they still got tons of life with them. Even if you find one with a blown engine, you can get V8 engines for these in junkyards all the time, or you could build an engine. You can have a lot of fun with these things. Dirt cheap, yet still have reliable transportation. Really, you want a cruising machine that you feel safe in. There's absolutely nothing wrong with one of these. And really, these things are so cool. He's not driving too fast because he doesn't want to spend too much on gas, but even going slow, it sounds mean going slow. It is a cool sounding and cool looking car. Make all kinds of noises that sound like police noises, but it's illegal to do while driving, so we're gonna do that in a second when we get back in the driveway. So as I promised, now we'll make sounds because it's in the driveway and it's legal. Now you keep those noises at home, at parties, or out in the country in the middle of nowhere. You use those on the road, you pretend to be a police officer, and they catch you and they will put you in jail. And it's kind of easy to hear these things. They make so much noise. Our AC guy has one on his big old 2500 GM, and he only did it in the driveway, and when he did, the neighbors all came out and thought the police are coming to get me. And he also has to set it up so anything he plays through the radio, he can play through there. So it can be a party police car. Still today, relatively cheaply, but these things are starting to go up in price because they can last so long. They're so much fun. People are realizing it. If you're just going straight to find a good one like this, believe me, the price is going to go up. And let's say you find a good one now, buy it. And even if you get tired of it, you'll be able to sell it for a profit years from now, as long as you don't wreck the thing. Let's face it, a Crown Vic is an iconic police car. Why not buy one? You could have a lot of fun with one, and still, they can be good standard transportation. Hey, if they're made to go super fast and you're only going 65, they're gonna last forever. And here's some bonus questions and answers. AMC72 says, what do you think of Fuel Factor X? There's a product called Fuel Factor X, a gasoline that adds more mileage to the tank of gas. I've never used it, but if it worked, it would already be in our gasoline. They're dying for better gas mileage, you know? And he's got a picture of an old-time snake oil salesman with snake oil smiling at the picture, and that's true. These additives, it's a bunch of nonsense. These companies are always selling me, I try them out. They don't do anything. Sometimes they actually make things worse. They can damage your engine. Stay away from any of these gimmicks. They don't work. If there was an additive that they could put in gasoline to get better gas mileage, they would do it. Don't think they wouldn't do it. There's so much pressure on the manufacturers to get better gas mileage. They get pretty much the most they can get out of the energy as it stands now. Of course, realize a lot of cars' gas mileage recently are going to be going down. And that's because if they went from 10% ethanol in our regular gasoline to 15%, you're going to get worse gas mileage because ethanol has 20% less energy than gasoline. So, due to losses of machinery and inefficiency, if you used ethanol instead of gasoline, you wouldn't get 20% worse gas mileage. You get about 25% worse gas mileage. So you have to take that into figure if you're going to buy ethanol because it costs less now. You don't make out. I saw a sign the other day here in Tennessee, and the ethanol was only 45 cents a gallon cheaper than the gasoline. And since you're getting 25% worse gas mileage, that would have to be almost at least $1.20 less, and it wasn't. It was 45 cents, so it doesn't make sense. Stay away from snake oil additives. Omar 1967 says, I got a 2005 Chrysler Pacifica. It suddenly stopped running on the highway. I was driving to work and it stopped running. I thought it was a transmission because it ran, but when I gave it gas, it wouldn't accelerate. So I scanned it and got PO 300. If you had your car sitting there, you stepped on the gas and the engine revs way up and it won't move, that's the transmission for sure. Or a drive shaft broken, it's bouncing around on one side, right? If your car's idling and you step on it and it won't accelerate, it won't rev up. And you have PO 300, that's random intermittent misfire. Could be a lot of things, probably not the transmission at all then. Unless it's revving and not going. If it's sitting there but it doesn't do anything, you step on the gas and it just sits there and the engine does not rev up. You could have bad ignition system, that's random intermittent misfire. You could have a low fuel pump pressure. Start by changing the fuel filter, and then if that doesn't fix it, pressure test the fuel pump, because weak fuel pressure will do it and you'll get a misfire because you don't have enough fuel and it can't fire correctly. Pray it's something simple like that. It often is a fuel pump or a clogged fuel filter. G-Man 660 says, I got a 2015 Chevrolet Trax, missing coolant. It's got 95,000 miles. Coolant's been acting funny. I can't find leaks. Mechanic couldn't find it. The tank is a slow loss, but I don't know what it is. And the engine isn't overheating either. Coolant has to go somewhere. First thing you want to do, you say you don't see it leaking, okay? And if your mechanic pressure tested, then you know you don't have a leak. Do have a mechanic pressure tested if you haven't. But if you did have it pressure tested, then first change the radiator cap. If the radiator cap is leaking a little, it will evaporate, and that's a cheap fix, 15 bucks or something. Try radiator cap. Now, if it's not that, unfortunately, it is a Chevy Trax, and often they blow head gaskets. So you want to do my video, how to tell if your head gasket is blown, Scotty. Watch that on YouTube. Simple test. If you don't have a mechanic that you trust, you go to Amazon, you can buy the kit for 39 bucks. You put a tube in the radiator, put blue fluid, run it. If the blue turns yellow, means your head gasket's blown. A lot of times that's the case. Pray, though, that it is just your radiator cap, because you say it's not overheating. If it was a stuck thermostat, it would be overheating. So pray it's just the radiator cap and not a blowing head gasket. But unfortunately, from my experience, it's often a blowing head gasket. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.